This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Parak Tes, we're up to Pasuk Tes Zayin. Now, we have not learned Zechariah in a very long time. I look back at the archives. The last time we learned Zechariah was the month of September, September 10th. So about a month ago. The reason is because of all the Yom Tovim, which fell out during the middle of the week. Now, it happens to be last night when I was trying to prepare for the Navi. I was looking all over for my Navi, had no idea where it was. So you say, why did I wake up last night? Because we haven't learned it for a month, so I didn't think to check. So last night, I'm looking all over. I even came here. I said, maybe I left it here, but it was locked. But I came early this morning, looking, where's my Navi, where's my Navi? It made its way to the top shelf over there somehow. Baruch Hashem, I found it. Okay. So back to Zecharia. We're in Parak Tes, Pasuk Tes Zayin. And according to many Mefarshim, we're talking about the era of the Chashmonaim. And the Pasuk says, V'hoshiyam Hashem Elokeim b'yom hahu. And Hashem, their God, will save them on that day. Kitzayin Amoi. Like the sheep of his people. Just like Hashem saved Klal Yisrael, who were his sheep. When were we considered sheep? Rashi says, Ketzayin shehisiyam mitzrayim, like the sheep that he moved out of Egypt, liyos lo la'am, to be for him as a people. So too, during this era, Hashem will save us. Ki avnei nezer, the stones of the crown, misnoisisais, will be uplifted, will be elevated, al admasai, on his land. Rashi says, what does it mean, the stones of the crown? This refers to ki hakohanim b'nei chashmaram, the kohanim, the sons of the Hasmoneans, Hamisparim, who glory, v'avnei nezer, with stones of the crown, b'turei choshen v'ephod, the rows of the choshen ephod, you misnoisisim b'nisim, will be uplifted with miracles, alad masan, on their land. The question is, it doesn't say their land, it says alad masai, on his land, on the Rebbeinu Shalom's land, not on their land, but Rashi says no, on their land. So the Radak says like this. Says Radak, what does it mean that it will be on their land? On Eretz Yisrael. Says Radak, V'Hashem Ketzayin Amai K'Moshe Mashiach Adam Son V'Chol Koichai Kein Yoshia Amai Ki Hu Tzayin V'Yishmael K'Moshe Yoshia Mash Aydei Moshe. This is a reference to Moshe Rabbeinu, who was a shepherd of Klal Yisrael, a loyal shepherd of sheep. So it says Radak, Ki Yu Yehuda V'Ephraim K'May Avnei Nezer Misnoisisais U'Misroim U'Mis Alad Masai, his land Shehi Admas HaKodesh, which is the Holy Land. Ki matuva yuma yafyai. How matuva yuma yafyai. How good, how pleasant. Dagon bachurim. The grain of the youth. Says Rashi, how great is the goodness which is put away for that generation. Dagon bachurim, that gives koyach to the young. The siroish yenoivev besulais, and the wine. What does it mean, yenoivev besulais? So Rashi, besiroish asher yenoivev besulais, that gives the besulais what to drink, what to sing. The nivshir, the simcha. And others, Rashi says, say that this is not referring to the maidens, but rather karka besula. Karka Basula, land that was never tilled, produces a higher quality of wine. Okay. So let's see the next parak. Now we're going to talk about during this era of where the Rebbeinu Shalom shows extra hashgacha pratis, which according to Rashi refers to the era of the Chashmonaim. The pasuk says something very interesting. Sha'alu me Hashem matar. Ask of Hashem for rain, which is in Yana the Yoma, right? Where HaRuach Umarid Ha HaGeshem Gashem.
That's where you were going.
Now, Mashiv Marayim, it's a well-known machlokes whether it's Geshem or Gashem. Who says what? Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky said Geshem. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach said Geshem. However, Moshe Feinstein said Gashem.
And what's the difference?
One is right and one is wrong. Let's say you go to the pizza store. Could I have pizza? So they may know what you're talking about. They may laugh at you. When you need parnasa, give me mini. So he might send you Minnie Mouse and not send you money. You have to pronounce the word correctly. Is it Geshem or Gashem? So Rav Moshe says it's Gashem. Rabbi Yashiv said it's Gashem. Look, Rav Moshe was a posek in America. In Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Yashiv, Shlomo Zalman. I say Gashem. Rav Moshe said Gashem.
Let me ask you a question. What did your father say in Europe?
What does that have to do with the halacha?
No, because certain things.
No.
Messiah, first of all, what your father did does not make a minhag. Minhag is not what your father did. Minhag is what was done in the city where you are. So nowadays, it's hard to say there's a minhag because cities are a melting pot. So minhag means what they did in the city where you come from. It's unknown. There's no clear minhag of minhag HaMedina of how to pronounce the word Geshem or Gashem. That's when it comes to halacha, you follow the poskim. They're not the.
But I don't want to go out of bounds. But
you are. So
legal procedure.
So that's you want to know who says what? Rav Moshe said Gashem. Rabbi Yashiv said Gashem.
What's the difference in the meaning between the two?
So one of the factors is whether this is one of the issues. Whether this is the end of a clause. Usually, if something's at the end of a clause, it's a kamatz, right? Mordechai. Usually, something that takes. So the question is, Mashrach Umared HaGeshem Kama Chalka Chayim V'Chesed, or is it Mashrach Umared HaGeshem? Does it go together with the next line, or is it? That's one of the issues. It's a grammatical thing. It's okay. I'm just pointing out. Okay.
Everybody says Mored Atol, no?
No, only those who daven Nusach Sfard.
I mean, but those who daven say nobody says Tal. Mored Atol because it's at the end of the phrase. Right, and that's why it's the comets. So
right.
Why don't you take the same principle and apply it to Geshem? It's the end of the phrase, no difference. It's the same idea, it's a different season.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's a topic. The pronunciation of the word Gashem.
It could be dance, it could be something. Because who's the Ashkenazim? Who says more the Gashem? The way you say
Gashem?
Gashem. Is it the Sfar?
No, nothing. No, nothing to do with Ashkenazic Sephardic. It's a matter of halacha. It's not an ethnic.
Okay, now let's. Who says Gashem? Who passes away?
I told you. Rav Moshe says Gashem.
Okay, I understand. So.
And I told Rav Shlomo Zalman. I told you. Okay. Fine. So here it says. Shalu me Hashem matar be'es malkosh. Hashem, now ask for Hashem for rain be'es malkosh. At the time of the rainy season. Now, which rainy season is this? This is the later rainy season. There are two rainy seasons. There's the Yoira and there's the Malkosh. The Yoira is in the month of Cheshvan. We're in the Yoira now. Malkosh is in the month of Nisan. So it's saying in this era, even if you wait till you ask for rain until the last rain, which is the Malkosh, which is the Nisan, Hashem oisa chazizim. Hashem will make clouds. The word chazizim refers to rain clouds. Umetar geshem yitain lahem, and rain he will give to them. Leish, for each man, esef basada. For each man, the grass in the field. Okay? Now Rashi explains, what is the solution of Yitain Lahem Leish Esev Basada? Based on the Gemara in Tainus, he will give Leish Bishvil Ish Echad, even for one man. Uvishvil Esev Echad, and even for one blade of grass. Hatzarach L'matar. In other words, even if only one man needs rain, even if only one field needs rain, even if only one plant needs rain, if you daven for it, it will come. Okay, that's what the pasuk is saying. In this era, even though normally the rain comes in the early season, in the Yaira and in the Malkosh, but in this season, in this era, the times of the Chashmonaim, the times of Nisim, even if you wait to ask for rain until the Malkosh, the Rebbe Shem will give rain, even if only one person needs it. Okay, so while we're on the topic of asking for rain, so I want to speak out a few things. In Bereshis it says about when Rebbe Shem put Adam Harishon in Gan Eden, the pasuk says, where's the Chumash? V'chol siach hasada terem yiyeh ba'aretz. All the herbage was not yet on the earth. V'chol esav hasada, all the grass of the field, terem yitzmach, did not sprout yet. Ki lo himter Hashem alekim al haaretz, because Rebbe Shem had not made it rain yet. The Adam ayin la'avodas Adama, and there was no man to work the soil. An odd pasuk. It says there was no grass because the rain didn't come, and there was no one to work the soil. Who cares if there's no one to work the soil? There's no grass to work anyway. Why in the pasuk that it says that there's no rain, it says there's no grass? Why is there no grass? Because there was no rain. And then it mentions, and there's nobody to work the ground. And let's say there was someone to work the ground, there would be nothing to work because there was no rain and there's no grass. Why in that pasuk does it mention the Adam ayin la'avoid? So Adam, so Rashi says, you know why there's no grass? Because there's no rain. You know why there's no grain? Because there's nobody to work. Why is that a reason that there's no rain? Says Rashi.
No one who could work the grass.
There's no one to follow.
He could even follow.
So Rashi says, "Lefisha Adam ein laves Adama, vein makir b'toivas and HaGeshem." There's no one to recognize the beneficence of rain. Uchshaba Adam, when Adam came, b'yadash im tzarich la'olam, and he realized the world needs the rain.
So he's from the spot.
Hispalel aleim v'yardu.
How did Adam figure out that rain was needed?
He figured it out.
He had no precedent. How did he know?
Hispalel aleim. No, he had knowledge. Hispalel aleim. He davened. V'yardu, and the rain came. V'tzimchu elanois v'hadasham. So interesting. It sounds like from the time Hashem created the world, the only way for rain to come is if you daven for it. Here the pasuk is saying, there was no grass. Why was there no grass? Because there's no rain. Why was there no rain? Va'adam ayin la'avodas Adama. So Rashi learns that means there's nobody to daven for it. So in general, there's a question that if the Rebbe Shem gives somebody something, that means they deserve it. So if they deserve it, why do they have to daven for it? Mimanavshach. If the person deserves it, so let the Rebbe Shem give it to them, even without tefillah. If they don't deserve it, so how does tefillah help? So, famous question. What is the purpose of tefillah? What is the role of tefillah? So the Ramchal gives two very important reasons for the concept of tefillah. First of all, the Ramchal says what we just established. That is how the Rebbe Shem set up the world. That nothing in this world will come without tefillah. Nothing. The Ramchal says there are many, many things the Rebbe Shem has in the storehouse in Shamayim, waiting to come down here to this world. And it doesn't come down. You know why? Nobody down for it. The Ramban in fact says that Moshe Rabbeinu was a kvad peh, a kvad lashon. So Ramban asks, so why didn't Hashem heal him? Ramban says, because he never davened. So the Ramban asks, so why didn't Moshe daven? Moshe had cheshbonos. But for a very simple, the Rebbe would have healed Moshe. Why is Moshe kvad peh, kvad lashon? Because he never davened, not to be. That's it. The Ramchal says the way Hashem set up the world is that things do not come down to this world unless you daven. That's how the Bria was set up. Remember when I was a kid, I asked Rabbi Victor Miller, we daven Harachamanu Yizakenu Limois HaMashiach L'chayu Olam Haba. Hashem be Mezaka us to Mashiach and for Olam Haba. So why do you have to daven for Olam Haba? Either you do mitzvahs and you deserve it, or you don't do mitzvahs, so you have to daven for it. Remember he said, you want it? Then you have to daven for it. That's it. It's impossible to have anything in this world without tefillah. So now the question is why? Why is that? of what benefit is it to daven? Why did Rebbe Shem set things up in that way? So Ramchal says a very important idea. Ramchal says, the Rebbe Shem put us down in this world to do mitzvahs, to come close to Him, to perfect our neshama. But there are many things in this world that we do that lower us. Most people spend the majority of their day involved in things that do not further their cause for Olam Haba. You have to go to work, you have to go to the bank, you have to go to the post office, you have to go food shopping. I mean, how are these things helping your neshama? Simply, they're not. They're not. Now, that's saving your skin. It's not helping your neshama. Right? So how does that help? How does that advance your neshama? Says Ramchal, most things that people are involved in this world lower them. However, if a person davens beforehand, Rebbe Shem, grant me siyata d'shmaya when I go to the post office, grant me siyata d'shmaya when I go to the bank, help me be successful when I go food shopping. So now, when you do your thing, you're involving Hashem in your pursuit, that protects you from being lowered by your worldly involvement. The purpose of tefillah is to spare you from being taken down by being drawn down by your earthly affairs. That's the reasoning that Ramchal offers. Okay, so now that we're on the topic of asking for rain, let's talk about a few halachas of HaRuach HaGeshem. Let's say you're not sure today if you said Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem. Let's say you're not sure.
There's no look about it. Once you say it 90 times, you can be so mad that you said it. But up until then, you have to be
so it depends if you daven Nusach Ashkenaz or Nusach Sfard. If you usually, let's say when you don't say Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem, you say Mord HaTal. So Mord HaTal is a B'di'eved, it's a suitable replacement for Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem. So if you're not sure, you say Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem. But the alternative is Mord HaTal. So then, Miman of Shach, you're covered. Because even if you didn't say Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem, you said Mord HaTal instead, it's a suitable replacement. But for those who daven the Nusach that almost all Jews davened a few hundred years ago, right? Nusach before the Baal Shem Tov came along, right? Nusach Ashkenaz. Sorry, no offense. You'll get used to me, right? So those who...
What about all the Snardim? And you said all the Jews. How many?
I said most Jews, right?
But that's also, see, this is what...
No.
What is your Messiah?
I didn't... There's not... This part is not interactive. So, those who do not say Morid Hatal, so they're not sure if they say Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem. So now the question is, so what do? You have a suffix. So we assume Shigra Delishna Nakat, right? We assume that you just said what you're accustomed to saying. So after how long? In other words, presumably you just finished a whole season of not saying Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem, so you would assume that you did not say Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem. Up to how long? Well, let's go the other way. Let's say Pesach time, when you stop saying Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem. Everybody agrees that if during the summer season you said Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem, then you have to go back because we don't want it to rain in the summer. It's a Siman Klal. So over there, the Shulchan Aruch, based on the Gemara, says that 30 days. After 30 days, then we have to assume, for the first 30 days we assume you said Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem, and after 30 days we assume that what? That you stopped, then we could assume you've already developed the habit of not saying Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem. Now what about, let's go where we are now. We're heading into the rainy season. We're used to not saying Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem. Presumably, and this is what the Shulchan Aruch says, presumably that after 30 days, we could assume you said Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem, but for the first 30 days, we have to assume that you said what you're accustomed to have been saying, which is what? Which is not saying Mashiv, HaRuach, HaGeshem. Now, 30 days is not only an inyan of 30 days, but also 90 times. That's the way the Shulchan Aruch understands.
It's a little more than 90 because you have the Musaf of Shabbos.
It's only 4, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the Shulchan Aruch says, even if you Doesn't have to be 30 days, but 90 times is also considered a way of establishing a chazaka.
Meaning if you said 9 times in a row,
No, we're talking about 90 tefillas. 90 tefillas. That's what the Shulchan Aruch says in Siman Kuf Yadalad, that it's either 30 days or 90 times. B'may Sachama in the topic of Hisker Mard HaGeshem Emlai Ad Shloshim Yom B'Cheska Shehisker B'Tzarach Lachzar. Fine. Comes the Mechaber, and the Mechaber says another Chiddush. So on the first day of Pesach, you said At HaGibar until Mored Hatal 90 times. That also establishes a chazaka. And the Ramah says for us, so too if you say At HaGibar without HaRuach HaGeshem, or 90 times with Mored HaGeshem, then you could establish a chazaka. Okay, now there are those who debate that. There are those who say maybe 30 days, but 90 times in one day, who mehechi tesi that establishes a chazaka. But the Shulchan Aruch paskins that 90 times also establish a chazaka.
it's not the same thing,
No. 30 days is a regular chazaka. It's over the course of time. But if you just hodgepodge 90 times in one day, who says that works? It's a chiddush of the Shulchan Aruch. Many disagree with that. If I'm not mistaken, the Vilna Gaon disagrees with that. But most agree with the psak of the Shulchan Aruch. In other words, this chiddush of the Shulchan Aruch of Im B'Yom Rishon Shel Pesach, the Bir Agra argues with that. He holds you cannot establish a chazak in one day. But we hold like the Shulchan Aruch that if you say 90 times, you establish. Now the poskim say you should not start from the beginning because then you're going to be mentioning the name of Hashem 90 times levatala. So you start from Mechaye Mesim Ata Rav Hashia Mashiach Mard HaGeshem. Mechaye Mesim Ata Rav Hashia Mashiach Mard HaGeshem. Right? You say it 90 times. Mechaye Mesim Ata Rav Hashia Mashiach Mard HaGeshem. Fine. Comes some surfer, he says, no, Shulchan Aruch is wrong. But what did his father do? His father did the wrong thing, he said. Why is that? Says Shulchan Aruch, because if you look in the Yerushalmi, where the halacha comes from, the Yerushalmi does not say 90 times. The Yerushalmi says 30 days. You say 30 days. Judaism, does anything have to do with 30 days? There's no halacha that 30 days establishes a chazaka. And there's no halacha then 90. Since when is 90 anything? Since when is 30 days anything? Says Achsam Sofer, if you look in the Yerushalmi is talking about where they used to say Mored Hatal, even though they daven Nusach Ashkenaz, because it was in the Eretz Yisrael. And right, because Mored Hatal doesn't really have to do with Ashkenaz and Sfard. It has to do with Chutz La'aretz, Eretz Yisrael. But in the Yerushalmi they're talking about Pesach, and they're talking about stopping to say HaRuach HaGeshem. So if you stop to say Mashiv HaRuach HaGeshem on the first day of Pesach, and you count 30 days, says Achsam Sofer, 30 days from the first day of Pesach gets you not 90 tefillos. Why is that? If you count, because how many days of Pesach do you have?
7 Musafs, a Rosh Chodesh.
You have 8 days of Musaf.
8 days of Musaf plus a Rosh Chodesh.
So 8 days of Musaf is another 8. Okay, so let's start like this. You have 30 days. Now the first day you have to subtract the Marav and Shachas because you're not stopping to say HaRuach HaGeshem until Musaf. So you have to subtract 2. So 88. But you have to add 8 days of Musaf, right? That's 8 plus 88.
96.
96.
And what's
Plus 3 Shabbosim. 99. Plus 2 days of Rosh Chodesh. 101. Oh! Says of some Sefer. 101 now we're talking. Everybody knows that Eino Doina Mi Shoshoina Pirkoi Meya Pama Shoshoina Pirkoi Meya Pama Achas. I mean, how many different Ramazim have we given in just in the last year of 101? We all know that 101 is a magic number to help you remember Malach Michael, right? The Samach Mem. The Samach Mem! Who's the Samach? He's the bad guy. He's the angel that makes you forget everything. He's 100. So you got to one-up him. Michael, right? You have to, the Malach is 101. In fact, once we're on the topic of the Samach Mem, I do have to tell you that if you have a paper, you might want to take it out. A new, right? It says Kimol Haaretz Chamas. Chamas is spelled what? Ches Mem Samach. And Reb Shamshon Shapoli asks, just because the world is full of Chamas, Hashem's going to destroy the world. It's so terrible. Hashem has to bring a Mabul to the world because it's Chamas. What's so bad with Chamas? It would be Hamas. That's one thing. It doesn't say it. It says Chamas. Now, we know that there's something called the Samach Mem. Now, the Samach Mem is the bad Malach. His name is Samach Mem Aleph Lamed. But the Aleph Lamed is from the name of Hashem. But the badness of him is the Samach Mem. And then you have the Nachash. You have the Nachash. Which letter of Nachash is the bad letter of Nachash? It's the Ches, Chivya. The snake is the Chivya. The Ches. The Nun and the Shin were also added. So, of the Samach Mem Aleph Lamed, it's the Samach Mem that's bad. Of the Nachash, it's the Ches that's bad. So that's Chamas. The Malach Hamavas and the Nachash and the Sun, they're everywhere. Kimol Haaretz Chamas.
And today we have Hamas.
That's it. So what does Noach do? He builds a Teva. What are the dimensions of the Teva? 300.
Shin.
50.
50.
That's the good part of the Nachash. By 50, that's the good part of the Nachash. Nun. By what? By 30. That's the Lamed of the Samach Mem. That was added. The good part of the Samach Mem. But you said, what do you do with the Aleph? The El Amma to Chalena Momala. That's why you end up the Aleph. So you have like this. If you take the bad letters of the Samach Mem Aleph Lamed and then Nun Ches Shin, the bad letters are Ches of the Nachash Chivya and the Samach Mem of that spells Chamas. So Noach counteracts that by taking the good parts of the name of the Yetzer Hara. What are the good parts? Shin, right? That's what? That's the Nachash, the Shin of Nachash. 300 of the Teva. Nun, that's the 50 of the Teva. Then you have the Lamed, that's Salman al-Lamed. And then the Aleph is the Al-Amma Techalena Milmala. Okay.
381. Does that mean anything together? The 300, the 50, the 30, and the 1.
Okay, fine. So you want to know, Rabbi Yosef wants to know, and if you add them all together, what do you get? So now I'll tell you one more thing.
381.
So back to Teva. If you take, we know that the Sukkah is a combination of what? The two names of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei and Aleph Daled Nun Yud. Right? Yud Kei Vav Kei is 26, Aleph Daled Nun Yud is 65, 26 and 65 is 91. The Sukkah are the two names. Now we're going to try a new system of Gematria that we never did before. I once mentioned this one actually. Okay? Take Yud Kei Vav Kei and put under it Aleph Daled Nun Yud.
You did this last week.
Okay? Yud times Aleph, 10. Hey times Daled, 20. What's 10 and 20? 30. That's one dimension of the Teva. 30. Vav times Nun,
300.
300. That's another dimension of the Teva. Hey times Yud, 50. That's the third dimension of the Teva.
It's like a quadratic equation.
So it's like basically what was the Teva? Right? You got that?
Yeah.
Right? Yud times Aleph, Hey times Dalet, that's 1. Then fine.
saves the world from Hamas.
Right. So now
Another one.
let's add up. Let's add up 300. Well, so that means the Teva is a Sukkah. But a Sukkah is also called Sukkah Shalom. Sukkah Shalom. Sukkah Shalom. What's the Mashiv of Shalom? 376. Right? What's the Gematria of all of them? And if you add up 350 and 30, 380. Don't forget we're not dealing with the Amma right now.
Okay.
I'm not dealing with that Amma. But you take Im HaKoilel Shalom with the 4 letters is 380. So the Teva was a Sukkah. Why is it a Sukkah? Because its dimensions are the 2 names of Hashem. And if you add them all up, it's a Sukkah Shalom. Who said the Malbim says? The Malbim says on this week's Parsha. There are a lot of different cheshbonos with the dimensions of the Teva. Okay.
The Teva saved the world from Hamas because it was Sukkah Shalom.
Right. Right. So back to HaRuach HaGeshem, it also saved the world from the Geshem, right? But
no, it didn't save the world from the Geshem.
Saved Noah, right? So the Chassam Sofer says that the Shulchan Aruch did not understand the correct pshat, if you could say such a thing, of the Yushalmi. All the Yushalmi says is 30 days. The Shulchan Aruch understood 30 days to mean 90 times, and therefore Shulchan Aruch wants to say, if you say 90 tefillos of Mashiach HaGeshem, that will establish you in a chazaka of saying Mashiach HaGeshem. Says the Chassam Sofer, I understand the Yushalmi very literally. 30 days of Pesach time means 101 tefillos. When you say 101, that's the special skula of memory. And therefore I feel, says the Chassam Sofer, that if someone only said 90 Shmoneh Esreis, that does not yet establish a chazaka until you say 101. And therefore I advise my Talmidim, says the Chassam Sofer, that you can, if you're not sure, I advise my Talmidim, they should make sure they say it 101 times to establish a chazaka. Now, says the Chassam Sofer, even though I don't have the kayak to argue on the Shulchan Aruch, Chassam Sofer says, I'll tell you his lashon. Chassam Sofer writes in a tshuva that he says, Amnam, b'di'evet, Misha amarak tishim pamim, someone only said it 90 times. V'shuv mistapek imam mashmarach eloi, and then he's masupik if he said mashmarach. Ein biyadi l'psalik shechayzer yispalo, I don't have the power to say to go back and daven again, because after all, neged ha-Shulchan Aruch, that's against the Shulchan Aruch, and nobody else ever said what I said, that you have to say 101 times. He said, Mikal makam nir lani esdaiti shehenichli makam mishamayim, God has left me a place in Torah for this chidush that really l'chachila you should try to say it 101 times. So if you're going to be singing the song, Mechai Yemeisim Atarav L'Hashem Mashiach HaGeshem, Mechai Yemeisim Atarav L'Hashem Mashiach HaGeshem, Mechai Yemeisim Atarav L'Hashem Mashiach HaGeshem, you should try to sing it another 11 times, and this way you'll be yotzei even according to Chassam Sofer. But after 30 days, l'halacha, you're good to go.
After 30 days on Sukkot, you would not have said it 101 times.
Exactly. Right. Why? Because
it would be 90.
Because you don't have the 8 days of Yom Tov of the Muslim, right? Yeah. Okay, so this is all some of the halachas of Mashiach HaGeshem.
How is the word HaGeshem and Gofen the same thing, or that's different?
I don't know.
What does Chacham do? Say.
Gofen. I think Sardim say Gefen, right? Right. Oh yeah? I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, now let's talk about, by the way, Rosh Chodesh also is an interesting shaila. Let's say, I'm not sure today, did I say? Es Yoim Chag HaSukkah Hazeh. Or did I say Es Yoim Rosh Chodesh Hazeh? Let's say I'm not sure what I said. Maybe we should say, well, for the last 8 days, when I've been saying Yal V'Yavai, I said Esem Chag HaSukkah Hazeh, not Rosh Chodesh. Maybe now, if I'm not sure if I said it, I was listening carefully to the Chazan today. He was about to say Chag HaSukkah Hazeh. He started with Chag Es Yah, and he caught himself. He said Rosh Chodesh.
The Chazan today where I was, when he said Birkas Kohanim,
yeah,
he was going to say Yal V'Yavo. Well, can't because the Yala.
Oh yeah. So Rav Shlomo Zalman says no. There's no. You don't create a chazaka to say Chagas 8 times. It's not even 8 times because you don't say Yalav Yavai every day of on Yom Tif. You know what?
In Shmanes.
In Shmanes, yeah. You do say it, right?
You say more in the
You say more. You say more. 8 days is not enough to create a chazaka.
Same benching also.
See what I'm saying?
You do. But that's not going to create a chazaka. So if you're not sure, you don't have to worry. You could assume, if you know you said the Ayav Yav and you're not sure if you said Chag HaSukkah, so you said Rosh Chodesh, you could assume that you said Rosh Chodesh. So interesting, today we know in Musaf,
You added one more.
what did we add?
Pasha.
Pasha or Pasha?
I said Pasha.
I don't know, whatever the singer said, I don't know. Whatever was in the article.
Yeah, Pasha? Pasha.
What is this?
We say what? I think even in the art scroll it says Pasha. I
Whatever
think
it
so.
said in the article, that's what I said.
Okay, so question is, why do we say that? Because everybody knows on an Ibriyar you say Chaparas. Why? Why? Pasha. So I once heard from Rav Shlomo Warman, Chayna L'Vracha. He was the Rosh Yeshiva of the Hebrew Academy in Nassau County. He told me he was in the Stipler's house, and someone asked the Stipler, why in an Ibriyar do you say L'Chaparas?
Pasha.
Or Pesha or Pasha?
Pasha.
Why?
No other.
So it's like this. There are 12 tefillos. Chadesh, Olinu Zachadesh, Hazeh, L'Tayva, V'Livracha, L'Sasayin, L'Simcha, L'Shua, Nechama, L'Farnasa, L'Chalkala, L'Chayim, L'Shalom, L'Mchilas Ched, L'Razavayin. 12 tefillos for 12 Chadashim. But in an Ibriyar, you have 13 months. So you need an extra tefillah.
Then why do you stop after Adam?
So why L'Chaparas Pasha?
Starts the new.
Why L'Chaparas Pasha? So Stipler said, well, you have an extra month to sin, so you need extra kapara. Okay, Rabbi said.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.